Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethic Media Association. Also, I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care. Also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. You are watching The Morning Vibe live on April 29th, 2022. And I'm going to say hello, good morning to the media star, Ryan Knight.
In process. We're still working on it. I'm under the tutelage of Dr. Vibe, and I appreciate it, sir. But for those that don't know me yet, so my name is Ryan Knight. I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, currently one of their co-executive directors. Shout out to my counterpart, Nicola Harris. I'm also an entrepreneur. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without water, and we're getting ready for our youth entrepreneurship training sessions. So actually today's the last day to register. So if you go to our website, detailingnights.ca, you'll see a link there that says Youth Entrepreneurship Program. Our training starts next Saturday. So, hey, if you have oh my gosh, what do they call them? A child. I don't want to say a child, but
a young person. Young
person is looking for a job for this summer. Please send them my way. We'd love to see, hey, one, they'll get employed, and two, we'll see if entrepreneurship is a fit for them. So, and also I wanted to quickly shout out representing PACU, the Pan-African Credit Union. The time is now. The application is in for the community to support. And if you want to pledge and invest into the Black-owned, Black-run credit union, the time is now. pacu.ca. Check it out.
All right. Just want to say also today's episode is brought to you by Caesar's Crown. Caesar's Crown Men's Grooming is owned and operated by Mr. Travis Samuel. All of the products are made with natural ingredients formulated with men's skin in mind. Please check them out online and at their socials where you can check out their products and feel like a king today. Join the movement, wear the crown. So we want people, well, especially the gentlemen, to wear the crown. And also, if you want to find out more information about the brand, there it is. They're at 905-706-6659, Caesar's Crown. And just going to spend a quick moment showing some of the products they have to offer. So we'll just do this here because Ryan uses them, I think.
I was going to say, listen, my beard's starting to come in. I'm letting it grow because I've been using the products. And I'm not getting the razor bumps. Typically when my beard grows out, the bumps come in, but it's been smooth. So I'm going to let it grow for a little bit.
There you go. So there we go. So Caesar's Crown, thank you so much.
Smooth.
There you go. Well, I razor bumps for when I was younger, I used to get razor. And the hardest thing is to get a shaver that works, that doesn't give you bumps. Yeah. So I realized that I had to use a 4 or 5 blade shaver not to get the shaving bumps. So want to say good morning to everybody. There's already a lot of people in the house. Good morning, Christopher Lawrence. Welcome. Wonder why all you are here. I wonder, but that's another conversation. Ron, what's been going on this week?
Listen, I want to give a shout out to the Black community on the whole. Yesterday, we called it the Black Ecosystem Summit, but really it was just a meeting of organizational leaders, business owners, and I would say the agenda was to start communication amongst organizations. So right out the gate, people are asking, hey, why is your summit different than other summits? But it was all about how often do we get to come together and just talk about how to improve communication. And there was a lot of great conversation. We were able to break out into breakout rooms, so many interesting conversations and feedback. I'm really excited to see how we can just continue the momentum. So again, I couldn't sleep last night. I was expecting 20 people and we had 85 consistently over the 2 hours. So yeah, I thought it was an awesome conversation.
How long were you wanting to see this come to reality?
Oh man, I feel like this is the true underpinning of ACBN, we really started to, yes, support entrepreneurs, but we play a puzzle piece in the grand scheme of things. And I'm seeing a lot of things align where the word ecosystem is being used more. So if we're really going to be an ecosystem, we have to understand the role that each of us plays in that ecosystem and how it connects. So I'm looking forward to, yeah, playing our piece, but seeing how that machine actually comes together. And oh man. So when the federal ecosystem was put together, I feel like that's when I started getting really serious about trying to organize these types of meetings. So that's been at least 6 months in the making.
And what's the next step?
So June, we have, I would say, a bigger conference, but in May, because of the feedback yesterday, people brought up different priorities that their organizations have. Of course, funding was like number one. So in May, we want to have a follow-up meeting for two reasons. One, to see what communication platforms we can start brainstorming and actually using. And then two, how we can support each other in increasing our funding for our organizations. So the end of May, usually we do it the last Friday of May. So if you're watching and want to be part of it, and you missed the one yesterday, please reach out and I'll invite you to the next meeting.
And how can people reach out to you? Because Christopher Lawrence saying, I wasn't invited, haha.
Right, because he gets all my newsletters. If you get my email, you were invited.
So, I'm not going to cause any beef. I'm not going to middle of any beef. I'm going to leave it as is. So, yeah, welcome everybody. And we're going to get it right into it because Monday was a cray day on the Morning Vibe. Awesome. If you haven't watched it, I would encourage you to watch the replay of Monday's conversation. We had so much engagement that we never got a chance to talk about the topic, which was really interesting.
We asked, hey, can we continue this conversation? And our guest graciously said yes. So, yeah.
Well, let's do something first this time. Let's put up the actual conversation topic, right? Let's actually put up the article first this time, so we actually get at least visually get to it. For those who haven't seen it, very interesting article written by our guest today. And the article is titled, Winter is Coming, the Peril of the Black North. Perry C. Douglas graced some time with us on Monday, but we had so much engagement. We didn't even get to any of the questions that the audience had. I asked people to email me. No one did, but I was able to get some questions. But so I'm saying if you have any questions or comments, put them in from now.
Yes.
And we'll today do we'll get into the article and then get into questions, comments, etc. So I wanted to show the article. I don't know if I did on Monday, but we're actually going to talk about the article today, believe it or not. So we'll take that down and we'll bring Perry C. Douglas back. Mr. Douglas, good morning. How are you?
Good. Morning, guys. How are you?
Outstanding and still black. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Good.
Good to be back with you guys. It was a crazy week. My wife is like, say it's a crazy week. I'm like, she's like, there you go, talking again, running your mouth.
What has your week been like in regards to this article and in regards to your appearance on Monday?
I've gotten a lot of calls from people I haven't spoke to 10 years or whatnot, telling me that, this is something, the message is the same. This is something that has to be said. This is something that people need to know. And that's just been the general, feedback. People are just happy that somebody's saying something and bringing attention to something a lot of people, feel but can't say. But, I'm that guy. I've never been shy,
And as I was reading the article, in my mind, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, this is what I've been thinking, but it was like articulated in a way I couldn't articulate. So that's where I really appreciated you taking the time to piece the article, because like you said, a lot of people are thinking it, but nobody was really saying it.
Yeah. And really what it is just the way I try to, live my life. And I try to look at situations. I try to think, quantitatively, mathematically, and analyze things, because we get caught up in, again, the same thing. We get caught up in emotion, and we get caught up into stories, which is a big human trait. We run based on stories, but
Yes.
we forget to look at the analysis. And when you look at the analysis, and I do the analysis to also see if I'm right or if I'm wrong, right?
Yes.
We have to do it scientifically because we can't assume we know everything. So I subscribe to the black swan theory. Like, it's more important to focus on what you don't know than what you do know, because it's what you don't know that's going to hurt you or help you. What you already know, if you're not flying and doing that stuff, then probably it's about what you don't know. And that's what I try to focus on.
Excellent. So let's get into the background of the article. Why did you write the article?
I wrote the article because I have multiple conversations daily, weekly, with friends who are entrepreneurs, and people who are in business. People talking about their kids, how they're going to make it going forward. Conversations about intergenerational wealth, and when I've had those conversations, you see all the different initiatives that have come up. I had to say, well, hold on, we got to make sure if this is right, if it's working. We have a tendency to move in emotional directions, and we have a tendency to romanticize things, right? And the objective truth sometimes gets pushed away based on people getting, pumped up in the emotion and the hype. But we all know, right? It's not about the emotion and the hype. It's about the proper execution of things that makes one successful versus the other. So I decided to take an analytical look at, let's take a look at what BNI has done and where are the results. And when I kept reading and I kept looking at it, I'm like, hold on a second. The community is getting played. West Hall is getting played. He may not think so. So let's take a look and see what the reality is. And that's pretty much, I started writing. Now, let me give a shameless plug to, I have an upcoming book coming. So, one of the things I'm writing about is exactly that. It's about applied intelligence and how to separate emotion, and use intellectualism. So in reality, writing the article was also part of, a bit of a case study in this type of situation. So I haven't decided if I'm going to put this case study into the book or not, but that's sort of how things transpired.
And I was curious and when you talk about case study, I'm reading a book called The Color of Money. And in it talked about in the 1960s, this exact type of thing happening where the business community is pretty much assigned to fix social problems. And you said in your article, like you mentioned that BNI has come on the scene and it's more of a distraction. So I was curious if you can go deeper into why you feel it's more of a distraction than actually helping.
So you've done your research, right? History, like I said, has all the answers. So what BNI has done is something that's happened over and over in the history of Black people. So you can go back as far as independence in Africa, right? You can go back as far as independence developing in the Caribbean. You can go back as far in the early 80s when you had some, I don't want to say affirmative actions, but there's a situation where, you created something where for Black businesses to be able to get a piece of essentially quotas.
Yeah, and set aside, we called it.
Yeah, set aside for Black, you had to buy from Black buyers or whatnot.
Yeah.
But in all these instances, the common denominator is it doesn't work. And what happened is that it creates a false stream of how reality works. So in the real world, here's how commerce works. Here's how entrepreneurship works. Here's how business works. Now, in the alternative world that doesn't exist, what they're trying to create, you're creating a world based on top-down, academia-driven situations, right? But in the real world, here's how it goes. So what I look at, there's enough evidence in terms of, Black people, independence, both in Africa and the Caribbean, and also in the United States with these particular, quotas or whatnot. And always, in particular in the U.S., with what the research says, these things create a stream where they put Black people into the wilderness, right? They put them into the abyss, and we never come into the mainstream, right? You can't create wealth by living in a universe that doesn't exist and it's only for Black people, right? We have to be able to be competitive in the real world. And when I look at the article, it's a superficial, top-down, right, academic-driven policy that is not based. It's not bottom-up. So my thing is, if you look at analysis, most things that work, actually 100% of the time in terms of business and wealth creation, it's a bottom-up process, right? Okay. Anything that's top-down is not sustainable over time, okay? And that's what the analysis says. So when I look at what BNI tried to do, right, the history of that shows it's always fails. Tokenism has never worked, right? And the danger it does is, put us in a situation where it's given us a false sense of how we create wealth and how we build our situation and take our place in the universe. So essentially, the analysis says, hey, what BNI is doing has constantly failed, for the last 50 years, and we're doing something that constantly fails. So we need to examine that and explain to people why it's not the right thing.
Right.
One of the things about the article I said to me is that it sounds like Perry has something personal against Wes Hall. And another person said to me, did Perry ever try to reach out to speak with Wes Hall? Could you answer to those things?
Sure. This is nothing personal against Wes Hall. Wes Hall doesn't affect my life. Okay. I have a really, I'm good. Okay. What this is about, okay, is, standing up for something when you see your community, when you see something is wrong. And that's who I am. And for people who know me, okay, they know me as a guy who is not going to sit back and watch something that they believe is wrong. That's just who I am. That's just my personality. That's my authentic self. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't really care what you think. Okay, Here's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. So there's nothing personal against Wes Hall. What this is about is the analysis. Okay, and the analysis tells you what's happening there makes absolutely no sense. But this is the human trait. Human traits always move to the emotion, right? They always move to the explanation based on emotion. I'm not about that. Let's look at the analysis, BNI. And the thing is, if you look at my article really is not about Wes Hall. When Ryan introduced my article, he went right into the point of leadership. Okay, Wes Hall has chosen to do this. So what? You're beyond criticism? That's our problem in our community. We don't criticize and we continue to do the wrong thing. Okay, and then we complain, right? I have something in my book that I call the veranda complaining in the Caribbean. Everybody sitting on the veranda, watching everybody go by, complaining, talking, making all the old talking thing. So people are doing that. I don't veranda complain. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. And in the article, people know I don't talk behind people's back, right? I say what I have to say, okay? Because I know what I have to say is backed up by evidence. Okay, and if you want to get into the evidence, let's get into the evidence. I'm not getting into, any type of superficial, emotional type arguments, which is not fact-based. Let's get into the facts and challenge me there. Don't come up and tell me about I have anything personal. Nothing. I wish him all the best. And I think in the article, I did say, and I congratulated him for being an extraordinarily successful businessman. I congratulated him We need more
Yes.
West Halls. Okay,
And
but
that's where. Oh, sorry. Go.
well, you go ahead.
When the Black North Initiative initially came out and it started talking about like executive positions and internships at these blue chip corporations, I thought of Wes Hall's own story, and I was like, but that's not how Wes got to where he is.
Correct.
Like, why wouldn't he create something that creates more Wes Halls?
Correct.
And so I was trying to understand what angle he was coming from.
You know what? And that's exactly it. So if your life experience this is how you did it, and Wes Hall is a primal example of what I call the sophistication of self-preservation, which is entrepreneurship. And Wes Hall is a beautiful example of that. So why if this is how you built it and you know how it has to happen, why would you not do that? So we have to question it. So and when what happens now is you're basically telling everybody that, you know what, I'm special. I'm an exception. And every other Black person needs all these other things in order to be successful in the community. Well, that's not so. And one of the things that has happened on the Bay Street Black community, you know, somebody who I know, and a lot of people in the Black community know, Dylan Kampanga. Now, Dylan Kampanga has become the CEO of BMO, Bank of Montreal, Wealth Management. And Dylan Kampanga is there because he's one of the smartest guys around. Dylan Kampanga is one of the smartest guys in the room. Forget black, white, or whatnot. He has that position because he is a brilliant guy. And I've known that guy for a long time. And that's why he's CEO of Bank of Montreal's wealth management arm. But the problem is now you have people talking about maybe he got that job because, you know, they're trying to tokenism. And that's not fair to Dylan. Yes, okay? Because he is good. So Wes Hall is not exceptional. There's I can name off lots of Black guys in the community. I worked for Michael Lee Chin. I worked with him as a billionaire. I flew in a private jet with him. Listen, this is not exceptional. And the problem is we are what happens is that in the community, we have a tendency in order to make it, right, we have to be exceptional. No, we Black people are just as good, just as smart. We go to the same schools as everybody. My kids are going to the same schools. And in their mind, you know what, they're just as, you know, entitled to do whatever the hell they want to do, right? So I think what I think a lot of people, if we can speak the truth and keep it real, a lot of people are upset about Wes Hall. He's making himself into something special, and you have to be this exceptional. And you know, everybody else needs these token things to get to the top, and that's just not so. There's a lot of really quality, like there's like I'm on the scene, I know, right? But the image that's created is that, you know, we need this sort of affirmative action type thing in order to be successful, and it won't happen because let's look at the results now. Nothing has happened. What did you have? 300 pledges, right? Let's look at even Wes Hall's board. Go on the website. How many Black senior executives does he have on his board? Right? So let's be real. You're telling, you know, these corporations, they need more Black executives. They need more Black people on their board. What about your board? What about your executive suite? So come on, man.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, you know, I also want to talk about the article. You talk about wokeness culture.
Yes.
Talk about you go deep on this wokeness culture. Talk to us about your thoughts on this wokeness culture.
Okay. So wokeness culture, and you know, I always tell, you know, my kids, what your dad's saying is not original thought. There is no original thought. It's just learning knowledge and reading. And John McWhorth, he's a linguist at University of Columbia, and he's written a lot of books, right? The whole thing of this wokeness culture is that we spend a lot of time in, you know, going into the reasons in terms of discrimination and where we are right now. Absolutely legitimate, and of course we have to continue there. But there becomes a period where it's sort of an inverse relationship where this wokeness culture works against you, okay? Because it creates a mindset of victimhood, right? And it creates a mindset in your kids where, you know what, there's racism out there. White people are always going to be privileged, and no matter how hard you work, you're not going to succeed because you're Black.
Okay.
You know what? If you have that, everything is about the mind, right? If you have that mindset, you're going to be at a mental disadvantage every time. Of course, we know racism exists. Of course, we know how white privilege has been created. And it's not a construct that's been created last week or last month. It's taken 400 years of that to take place in terms of slavery, the plantation system, colonialism, and that wealth has been passed on generation after generation after generation. So yes, this is white people have it. Now, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to cry and complain, or are you going to actually try to do something to create wealth for yourself and your family and your community? Because crying and complaining about it is not going to help your situation. Right? So wokeness, okay, in terms of bringing attention to things, no problem. I mean, you know what? I'm absolutely, fine. I'm actually fine with that. But when you take it and you start, making it overemphasizing, emotion and the overemphasization of the romanticization of racism, which people do, okay? And everything is about racism, and everything is about I'm a victim, and everything is about this. For me personally, if I live in what I call that negative zone, right? If you live in a negative zone, everything you do is going to be negative. If you put yourself in the positive zone, you may not make the best decisions every time, but because you're in the positive zone, even your bad decisions are going to be good. So you have to decide where your mindset's going to be. Is your mindset going to be set on winning? Okay. Or is your mindset going to be set on being and always letting people know you're a victim? Because guess what? As Aristotle said, the universe can't be anything other than what it is. You can't change reality. You can say what you want, but in the world today, nationalism is increasing. The Republican Party in the United States, gerrymandering, it's moving more and more and more to a white supremacist universe. So if you sit there and say, oh my God, this is what white people ain't going to change. This is about self-preservation. Okay. And in order, it's about winning. Okay. That's what it is at the end of the, it's about winning. And if you just complain, look at the other guys, You think the Republican Party of the United States is going to stop doing what they're doing? No, they're not. So if you sit there and complain and do nothing, you're going to constantly lose. And me, my family, we're not about losing, right? So it's all about your mindset and what you want to do. And that's really what wokeism can be peril if you don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on that because a gentleman I consider a mentor, Andrew Bromfield, who you know.
Yeah.
When we were talking about like the Black entrepreneurship program that the federal government was creating, yes. And again, our organization was part of the ecosystem fund, and he cautioned me and said, whatever the government is giving you, you have to question the agenda. And as I'm reading more, like you're talking about, look at your history. And all the programs that had been created by government for Black people, when you actually dig deeper, you realize it didn't actually help us develop wealth or get on equal footing. So we have to really question this. They're woke, but are they actually helping? And I see, as you're talking, it started flashing in my mind about like the protest. We'll get very emotional. We'll go out, we'll protest and complain. And then what? And even as I watch a lot of people in one place, I realized if they were organized and had everybody's contact information, they could now become a machine that actually creates change. But I saw one time at a protest, people were handing out a paper clipboard, like, oh, write down your emails. Like, whoa, you mean like this isn't organized? This is just people randomly showing up. So really, if we're just going to be woke and complain, I agree that we're not going to make much progress. But
I'm going to jump in now because we're going to get the questions because they're already flying in, and also have some from Monday. So first question coming back, one of the few questions Monday. Hayden Morrison asks, should we have nonprofits in our community, and what purpose should they serve?
Okay, good question. So let me clarify this thing about nonprofits. I'm not against nonprofits. Nonprofits are 100% necessary. If the nonprofit is a bottom-up nonprofit and has a particular cause to serve, 100%. Okay. The problem is if you're what is counterintuitive and counterproductive and doesn't work is if you have a nonprofit organization which is top down, put in place by the government, chosen by the government, okay, in order to engage in venture capital by giving loans. That does not work. So nonprofit is absolutely, fine, right? But it's about the analysis. And again, what we can't do is we can't start just every time we see something emotionally, just, okay, look at this. No, back up, take your time, take some time to actually analyze what's happening and make your decision based on facts, information, and analysis. So nonprofits are fine. It's just what is the nonprofit doing? And if the nonprofit is doing something that doesn't work and is harmful to your community, then you got to call it out. It's a simple thing. It's like we called out FACE, right? That's a prime example of a top-down thing that doesn't work, and it's ridiculous. So, go into
catch up on some comments here. Sean R. Best from Atlanta says the things we don't analyze are the things we repeat. Naked Property with Osai, who I know. Thanks for being authentic with your stand. Sean, then Harris Mark saying Delan Kamanga, then the name you mentioned before. Sean says the real issue is that we need a paradigm shift. We have to stop thinking in black-white categories and engage people on the basis of the skills, talent, and character. The color becomes irrelevant. Sean also says, go woke, go broke. Simple. Harris Marketing. The Pareto's Law is the 80-20 rule. What are the best 20% of the Black community doing to help the 80%? What could the 80% do to help themselves? How did the 20% get to their wealth? Would you want to address that if you're comfortable?
Sure. I mean, so he's asking, so let me just make sure. So he's asking here, what can the 20% do to help the 80%?
Well, they're asking first, from your knowledge, what are the best 20% of the Black community doing to help the 80%? That's just the first question, in your opinion.
So I would say the premise of the question, I don't really, not saying he's wrong, but I don't accept that from a data perspective, because my whole thing is that everybody needs to focus and worry about themselves first. Okay. So in the community, okay, we have to get away from the dependency culture. Okay. What I mean by that is, what is this other group, 20% of people creating wealth for me? What are they doing for me? They don't owe you anything. Okay. Those people don't owe you anything. However, okay, that 20% who's creating wealth, okay, right? They need to take that wealth and reinvest in their own community. Okay, reinvest in entrepreneurship, reinvest in education, scholarship programs. Because if you do that, you create authentic bottom-up opportunities for people. But what's important, and if we go back to the analysis, I think I talked about Adam Smith in there. If we go back, and this is back, 18th century stuff, but it's still the same thing today. The whole thing about individualism and personal gain, we have to seek personal gain, right, in order for the community to gain. It can't be the other way where everybody's looking, how does the community gain? How does the community gain? Well, no, that's not how wealth is created. Wealth is created by individual gain. And if individual gain takes place, then we can spread that individual gain throughout our
community,
right? So I'm going to give you an example of the Jewish community. So, people talk about religion all the time. So in that community, what happens is when that they individually create wealth, they give opportunities to their own people. They invest in their own people. I remember when I was back in the day when I was a broker at RBC, and some of these guys, one young guy came in. I'm there struggling my butt off, picking up the phone, cold calling to create a business, and I was successful at it. But I remember another Jewish guy came in, and his father ran an accounting firm, and his father hustled and brought all the clients to him, and the opportunity stayed in the community, and that community's wealth grew. But the problem is, right, the thing is, we can't look at it from a top-down perspective and say, you know what, the community has to get wealthy. The community has to get wealthy. No, you have to do something. You have to individually do something. And when you individually do something, then you create a little bit of wealth. Make an investment in a Black entrepreneur. Okay, give some scholarships, for Black kids who are performing in the math and science. And the other thing I want to say on that is that we have to focus on the people who have done, for example, in the education place, in the education. Unfortunately, we have to focus on the winners in our community. So if there's some young Black kid who's doing well, wants to go to university, you know what? Pay for tutors in math and science. Okay, right. Get them into the top university. If you do that, they're on their way. Okay, right. Don't try to go save the world and save the community. And if other kids are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, don't go put money into that, because that's going to be a failed investment. Put some money into the people who are doing the work, the kids who are really working hard, getting the good grades. Give them that extra push now, right? Give them a scholarship so when they go to a top university, they're gonna have money for food and be able to go out every now and then. Because those are your future leaders. We try to save the ones who are not. We try to save the ones who are not going to help our community and have done nothing to deserve those type of things. So on an individual basis, if we all focus individually on doing the best we can, right, in our own time and place, that spreads out bottom up into the broader community and start helping each other. Not sitting around there and waiting for somebody else to help you. That doesn't work.
Okay, just following up here, Sean is saying the assumption is that the entire 80% want help. I'm not going to go there. Sean also says many do, many are fine where they are. That's Sean's opinion. He also cites you mentioned the Jewish community, says the Indian community does this also, as the Jewish community does.
Yeah.
He also says bottom up.
Yep.
Bottom up. So let's go back here with another question. Robert Swan has a question, I think 2 questions for you, or at least 1 or 2. Do you have any empirical evidence that, quote, wokeness culture, unquote, has created the idea of victimhood? Who is, quote, crying and complaining, unquote? I just want to know who you are specifically talking about.
Okay, so if you want the evidence, there's lots of books I can recommend. The first book is by, John, what's his last name again? McWorth, right? Woke Racism. He's a professor. He'll give you all the evidence in there. Okay, all you got to do is read. Listen. You want to do it? You go look up woke culture, and there's a lot of evidence and a lot of data. There's a lot of books to read. There's another great book called Why Nations Fail. Okay, that book is absolutely wonderful. Gives you historical evidence and historical analysis, right? And go read Why Nations Fail. Go read. I could turn to my bookshelf here just to give you a few, but there's tons of books out there, and there's tons of stuff that will give you the information. See, what happens is that people hear something, they get emotional about it, and they're like, don't do that. Go take some time and go on the evidence. We live in a Facebook culture where everybody wants to have their opinion and have no evidence to back it up, right? Facebook makes you stupid. I keep telling because all it is an opportunity for people to share stuff without any evidential information to back it up. And it becomes highly emotional, and people don't understand that Facebook algorithms have you trained. Okay, they have you trained to behave this way. Okay, what do you think? Like algorithms, these cognitive algorithms have you trained to behave that way. You have to free yourself from that and actually read books. and actually read things to have a good understanding of how the universe works. And that's one of the big things in the article. I'm trying to show people this is how the universe works. Okay? What you think or what you believe is of no consequence. What is of consequence is what is actually real. So you can think whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It's what's real. And how are you going to deal with that realness? Okay? Because you know what? Nature doesn't change, and nature is math. And if your stuff don't add up, it don't matter what you think or what you believe. It's what is real. So I would just say there's tons of that. If you want to reach out to me for a list of data sources to do that, reach out to me to the article. I'm happy to share the evidence with you.
All right. Next up, Todd Liquid Green Products. Top-down economics can never be beneficial for the Black man. No solid economic base. We are rich but not wealthy. Be less emotional, collectively focused, and get out of the lower economic base. Osai is saying there's more power in being aware than woke.
Correct.
Sylvia saying great analysis. Nadia saying this is about the survival of the fittest.
Yep.
Shauna saying no free lunches.
Yep.
Sylvia is also saying agree with Ryan. Question here from Christopher Lawrence. Curious for melanated businesses that are in pursuit of self-sufficiency, with VCs that seek percentage of businesses of production and loans that have steep interest rates and bill payments that are not offered. What are the ways for melanated businesses to scale without venture capitalists and or loans?
Excellent question. Let me just break that down. That's an excellent question by Christopher. Okay, so the universe, let's take a look at this for a second. Let's take a look at all the wealthiest people in the world. Let's take a look at all the companies that have come up, guys who made themselves billionaires and millionaires overnight. It all has come through venture capital. It all has come through where people getting friends and family loans, going through, stage one where they're getting angel capital and they're getting, and then they build equity, and then maybe they go IPO or whatnot. Okay, that's how. If you just look around, how many of these businesses, publicly traded companies, how much of these wealthy people, all these new entrepreneurs coming up every day, how many of those did that by loans and how many of those did that by venture? Okay, venture capital, equity creates wealth. Loans ties you down. Now, if you're a mature company now, okay, and if you're a mature company at that point in time, you don't want to give up any equity. You have enough cash flow, okay, in order to service the debt. So if you have enough cash flow to service the debt, the loan is better for the balance sheet simply because, you're not giving up any equity. Equity is valuable. But in order to grow, you need equity. So the fundamental problem I'm trying to tell people, okay, is look at the facts. Okay, look at the facts. The reality is, if you look at Silicon Valley, 95% of startups fail. Okay, but why do you have all these guys still invest in startups? Because all you may need is one or two to win, and that $20 billion covers all the losses. Okay, so you have to understand when the government is saying to you, and the Canadian banks are saying to you, we're going to give you loans, but the same RBC, okay, the same RBC who's given Black entrepreneurs loans has a venture fund, has a thriving venture capital business. Why are they not allowing Black entrepreneurs into the venture capital business? CIBC has a venture capital business. All of the banks have a venture capital. You go to CIBC, RBC is called RBC Ventures. And they're showing all these pictures of venture capital or whatnot. They even put a few Black people, token Black people in there, to pretend. So the question you have to ask yourself, why if the mainstream and even the banks have thrived in venture capital practices, why for Black people are they giving you loans run by the government? Come on, folks. You want to talk about woke? You got to get woke to the reality, right? So what happens is they're putting Black people in one stream, which is going into the abyss, and everybody else is in another stream. Somebody sent me a statistic the other day. There's more venture capital startups started in the Indo-Asian community than anywhere else. So that community has come in getting their friends and family to start them up, and they're creating all these ventures. Everybody's in that space, but they've put us because we don't know better. We're not taking the time to actually learn. Go and see. RBC, CIBC, or whatever is engaged in this loan program, right? But we don't need loans. We need venture capital. And they have a venture capital practice. So why wouldn't they let us participate in that? Okay? Why wouldn't they let us? Think about why that's not happening. Sit back for a minute and think. And when you think, you probably will get outraged if you really take your time to actually do the analysis versus just getting excited about the government doing something for political points.
Let me just catch up with something quick here. So Nadia is saying multi-generational wealth is created through inheritance and entrepreneurship. I think Sean from Atlanta has become a fan. He says yes. And he's also saying focus on your dream and mentor your circle of influence. They will do the same. Pay it forward. One match can start a forest fire. Jamie says, sounds cool, but great point about assisting future leaders. Andrew Bromfield saying, every day I log into LinkedIn and I see evidence that wokeism promotes victimhood. Harris Marketing, historically, we have invested in the bottom of our economic society, tutoring D and F students while forgetting the A and B students. We focus on those social services versus nuclear families.
Can I touch on that question? Because I'm glad you went there. Okay. or Harris Marketing, I'm not sure if it's a he or she. I apologize if it was a she. That's the thing, man. That's the thing. We invest in the D and Fs versus investing in the A's. The A's have done so much work, right? We spend so much time, right? Worrying about, the criminal system of Black men going to jail, okay? Those are Band-Aids. What we have to do is focus on having more A students so kids don't move to negative things or crime or whatnot. We have to deal with the cause.
Perry, then my question is, what do we do with the DNFs? Do we we just forget about them?
Yeah, no, very good question. No, I'm not saying forget about them. What I'm saying is that I can turn the question to you. Why are we not then putting time into the A's? Why are we only putting time into the DNF, right? So what I'm trying to say is that in every society, right, what has to happen is that, you have to, it is about self-preservation, and you have to, reward people who have worked hard and successful. By all means, I'm not saying that we forget about the DNFs. Okay, so maybe my honest answer is I don't really have an answer for the DNF, and you know what? When I don't have an answer to something, I like to say it and be honest about it. But what I do know is focusing on the DNFs, right? Really is not how we're going to win in society. We have to focus on the A's. Now, the DNFs, we definitely want to give them help. We want to move them into other things. So we want all our kids, to be able to focus and go to university and do all these things. If you're talking about the kids who are DNFs legitimately because they're struggling, economic circumstances and everything, absolutely not, because those DNFs can be turned into A's pretty quickly, right? So we still want to deal with that. Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is don't overemphasize, don't forget about the A's who've worked really, really hard and might need the extra push and in a great position to go to university and create wealth into our community. But by all means, no, we're not going to focus on the DNFs. And a lot of the nonprofits can work and help with the DNFs in order to try to get them, into a higher position.
Okay. That's where, just real quick, we have a lot of nonprofits to support the DNFs. We don't have any containers that support and amplify the A's and B's. So I can see what you're talking about, where we focus so much in one area that now the future leaders that could actually reinvest, and we don't even create containers for them when they graduate. They go off and work for other companies instead of the Black community having our equivalent of McKinsey or KPMG that now would be reinvesting into our community. So being able to create that for those A's and B's and then they become the mentors for the D's and F's to bring them up. So that holistic, I would say, every child that's born in the Black community should have a success plan around them.
Absolutely.
And we don't do that. So
okay.
That's
Marlon saying talent has to be paid for. Capital often translates into talent. He also says angel and venture capital often comes with talent and network to complement growth. Nadia saying our people need to wake up. Hayden saying we can and should agree or disagree with the brother. I want to thank you for accepting the risk of being a true Black community leader. This is what community leadership looks like. Christopher saying, thank you. I know what the assignment is now. Thanks much. Farley is saying, I maintain that the incumbent society will never let us play on an even playing field because it reduces the percentage of the pie. VC has to come from BC, Black community.
Farley is on point again. Really, Farley is on point, right? Because this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem. We're always looking for others to do for us what we must do for ourselves. So so if you talk, I go back, if you're talking about that 20%, okay, need to create VC capital in order to fund entrepreneurs. And I think I said in the article to Wes Hall, okay, you're head of a Black organization. Why are you going in the Dragon's Den? Why? Maybe is it for your profile? Why don't you use your influence and to create a tech fund, for a tech VC fund, because that's what we need. We need money, okay? We don't need tokenism. We need money. So there is an example. Take your money, okay? You have all the so-called connections, in the with all the CEOs. Raise $200 million, put that in a VC fund, and let the worthy Black entrepreneurs come and fund them. So Farley is 100% right. Guys, understand the game. It is not in white people's interests to help you. It is not, because everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie. This is about self-preservation, okay? People, you honestly think white folks are going to give up their wealth and privilege that they've worked so hard for 400 years against us, and they're going to hand it over? Of course not. So the responsibility is on Black people in our community, as opposed to, getting up there and cheering and being woke. Put your money in there and find the entrepreneurs like all the other communities do and invest in those entrepreneurs. And that's what we absolutely have to do.
Okay. Leslie is saying need to balance attention to A, B, and DF. Sean is saying, particularly Black boys and young Black men, we don't have programs for them. The programs are almost exclusively focused on Black girls and women. This creates a social economic gap between Black men and Black women. Farley follows up, we invest more of our own personal and family time into our children's extracurricular activities than we do in their education excellence.
Yes.
Unfortunately, many of the VC and angel funds come from other communities. There have been laws in the last decade that would allow us to collaborate to create venture funds. Macmillan Group, excellence promotes excellence. The D&S will be motivated by those succeeding. That was my lived reality. We need to shift our approach.
Yep.
Errol Whittle, should we focus on enabling our entrepreneurs to succeed and break out of the loan stream we have been banished to? And when we break out, what can attract VCs? Thoughts?
Yeah. So let me just say this, right? There are Black men in the community, and who fund stuff. Okay. And I know them. I've been funded by them. So there are those Black men in the community. There are some real men in the community, and I won't mention who they are because they don't, that's not what they're looking for. Okay. But the reality is, and everybody who knows me knows exactly who I'm talking about. Okay. Because they're real leaders in our community. And, I have real partners. I have real guys behind me, and we need to just sort of expand that. Now, what has to happen is a great question, because I have an entire section. I have an entire section on how to attract VCs in my book. Okay. And the first thing it does is to change our mindset. The first thing is to move away from the dependency culture. VCs don't want to invest in people who are dependent. They want to invest in the aggressive people. They want to invest in people who take risks. They want to invest in people who know they can do it, who feel they can run through walls. Okay. So the first thing is to change our mindset and not fall in suckers to every new scheme or every new situation that comes up. So Errol is asking a big question. Okay. And I would say to you, maybe I have a whole detailed analysis. So maybe Errol, wait for the book.
All right.
Chapter.
Farley saying, in India, the smartest kid in the math science class gets all the girls in the same way the best basketball player does in our community.
100%. Farley.
Nadia is saying, every day I hear and see the distrust in our community. Trauma. There are leaders within our community that move differently, overshadowed by all those about self-promotion and self-preservation. Liquid green products. In every society, there are A, B, Ds, and Fs, but progressive societies put a lot more emphasis on the A and B, which reduces the D and F.
Correct.
Right.
Harris says, bingo, redistribution of resources for top students. Trisha says, I was a D student. My mother sent me to Trinidad for school. Saw myself and no excuse, came back as an A student, straightened me out. LOL, but help me understand exactly what you're saying. Thank you.
Okay.
Tanisha saying, would have loved at work at Black-led organizations after graduation, but wages and benefits are not competitive. Monique saying, is someone willing to provide more information to Black business to share this kind of information, invite VC companies to share?
I'm actually, you know what? I actually wrote an article on that. Mm-hmm. And I could, I think if you go on the Medium, it's somewhere down there. But actually, I have stuff on that. So what I'll commit to is I'll commit to writing an article and share the data on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carve out a piece of my book and keep it to a 5-minute read and maybe share that information. Yeah, excerpt. There's the
there you go. McMillan Group says, great point, Errol. 25 plus years in business, no loans, no grants, and reinvestment of profits to grow. Now I'm in legacy mode. # next generation mode. Yes, Ray is the real deal on that. So question here, how do we learn about these real leaders, Monique says, that you're talking about?
When you say, you mean in our Black community?
Yes. Because there was another question that I came up on Monday saying, who are the real leaders in your opinion in the Black community? Well, that's a question. Leadership in general.
Yeah. So look, we have some real leaders, and I'll be remiss. I'll fully transparent. This guy's a really good friend of mine, but I don't want to compare and contrast anybody. But there's a gentleman out there, my fellow Grenadian buddy. I call him my Tivoli Massive. You have to be from Grenada to know that. But if you're looking for a real leader, a real authentic leader, that's Ray Williams. And Ray Williams is, he's the vice chairman of National Bank of Canada, right? He's, the chairman of the Black Opportunity Fund, right? There's an authentic leader. So if you're looking for an example, and this is my opinion, maybe other people have a different opinion, but if you're really looking for a real authentic leadership, Ray Williams is that guy. And he's the leader in more ways than one. And all he cares about is doing what's right and doing the right thing, right? And boy, that man can cook. If I don't even know, but
he's Reeds on Instagram. Actually, ironic period. You mentioned him and I have just exchanged. We haven't communicated for a long period of time, and we just started communicating again. So I've asked him to come on the show. So I'm working on getting him to come on the show.
You should get him to do a cooking show.
I want him to cook
cooking and investing.
I want him to cook for me. I don't care about the show. I want him to cook for me. Right? That's that's the thing. But yeah, so we are all caught up with comments. Okay, so here's a question, Ryan and or Perimu. So what's the purpose of the Black Opportunity Fund? Anyone want to comment on that?
I don't, the Black Opportunity Fund, from what I see, is I don't have any involvement in that or whatnot. I do know Ray is my friend and everything. So what I would say about it right, is that what I think is good about it is that it's a bottom-up approach, and it has a particular mission and it has a particular objective. But what I would tell you is go find out for yourself. I'm sure they have a website. I'm sure you can have a conversation with their leaders. Go find out.
We've had the executive director on a few times, Craig Wellington.
Have Craig on and talk about it. So I think what we have to do is give the same examination to the Black Opportunity Fund as anything else, and find out. What we shouldn't do is we shouldn't, say, hey, this is this, that. Go do your analysis and go look, and then when you do your analysis, come up with your opinion. But what I would do say, it is, if I have to make a comparison between BNI, Black Opportunity Fund is authentic, it's bottom up, it serves a purpose, and it's well defined. It's not like BNI would just top down and it doesn't work, and it's tokenism and that doesn't work. So from my opinion, from where I'm sitting, because it's bottom up, I believe it's authentic, and it is something that's helpful to the community.
And I'm wondering if you just answered my question, but as we're wrapping up, I wrote down, how can we be mindful of emotional reactions to trigger events? Are there any signs we can look out for to determine if we're getting the raw deal or like an unrealistic deal?
Yeah. So in my book, I have a section on quantitative thinking, okay, mathematical thinking. When you hear something, think about, the universe is about math, right? So think about, does this thing add up? Just think quantitatively for a second. Does this thing add up? Think mathematically for a second. Does this thing add up? And that way it will remove you. So one of the things I have is called applied intelligence. So applied intelligence is a way of thinking, a structured way of making decisions in a non-emotional basis, a framework for decision, right? So what we do is when we see something, take it and move it away from the emotional box and put it in the applied intelligence box. Okay, and have a disciplined way of looking at things and making decisions. And when you have a disciplined way of making decisions, right, you're going to it'll be less emotional, because we are emotional human beings. We can't escape that. So if you really start looking at things quantitatively, it will help you remove some of the emotion, and it'll help you be more analytical, more intellectual in your decision, and hopefully you will become a better decision maker, as we all are emotional beings as humans.
And add a quick follow-up to that. So I was curious, what are your thoughts on organizations that claim they can eliminate anti-Black racism?
I mean, okay, that's just ridiculous. This is what BNI says. How do you eliminate? You can't control the hearts and minds of people. You cannot. Okay? You cannot eliminate how somebody feels against you. Okay? There's a lot of anti-Semitism out there, right? But guess what? It's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt the Jewish people, because they got their stuff together. Okay, they got their stuff going on. So you can hate them, but they're not going to worry about you. So any group that says they can eliminate anti-racism, intellectually, that doesn't make any sense. Like break that down for me. But when people make these statements, okay, what I say, break that down for me. Tell me how you can connect the dots or unconnect the dots in order to eliminate anti-racism. You cannot change the hearts and minds. You can be the CEO of you can be a Black CEO, Black doctor, whatnot. It's not going to change how people may feel about you, but the difference is they can't hurt you, because financially you're safe. You've protected your family. You've created security for your family. You're on your way to create intergenerational wealth. We don't care what people think about us. Okay? What I care about is, can somebody affect me or hurt my family? And it's my job as a man to secure my situation with my family to move us forward. So people can be racist or whatnot. So quick example, my son plays golf, and he joined, we joined a private club, and only Black members in the club, and all the white guys, hey Perry, let's play. I don't really want to play with you guys, right? Because I'm here just because I'm paying this, because I want my son to play, okay? Because I want my son to be in that situation, okay? So my son, we don't care what they say about us. What we're doing is we're playing golf because that will help my son, in the future, which it has helped him greatly, right? And it will help him when he gets into the corporate world. Okay. But if I'm going to sit there and worry about people disliking me and racism and whatnot, racism is that's not going to change. But if you start letting it affect your psyche, then you're defeated, right? You can't let that defeat you. You got to keep going, and you got to focus on your own self-preservation and the self-preservation of your family. And then once you're doing that, you will affect your community. And if everybody's doing that, our community will move forward. Every individual has to pursue gain, has to pursue profit. And if we're all doing that, and then we start, sharing it amongst our community, we will grow. That's bottom up. That's how wealth is created since thousands of years in civilization. Right. Bottom up. This top-down crap doesn't work. All right? Simple as that. And that's what the evidence says. So if we know how things work, if we know how wealth is created, if we know how success is created, if we know entrepreneurship is what creates intergenerational wealth, why are we doing the opposite of that?
All right. So let's get in some final comments here. Harris Marcus saying raise the real deal. So I'll definitely work on getting him on the platform here. McGill Group, very intelligent conversation. Thank you, Perry, for sharing your insight and perspective. Great conversation. Sean saying eliminating racism, impossible. Yeah. Naked property, the deep-rooted intention between VCs and loans is disheartening. The sad part is that most within the Black community have no clue about venture capitalism, angel investing, or equity financing.
Correct.
She continues and says, this is where we need to focus our energies, increasing the knowledge and awareness within our community and become leaders and not borrowers. The head, not the tail. Yeah. Jamie's waiting for your book.
Yeah, it's coming.
Excellent.
Nadia saying, thank you, Ryan and Dr. Wise. Very insightful. Have a great weekend, everyone. And by the way, racism is going on and anywhere. And neither are thinking of if we think it is, don't think it is. Probably saying anti-Black racism will never be eliminated. However, economic and social empowerment from within will all make us resilient to it.
Man, I got to talk to Farley, man. Farley, man, lick me up, man.
Christopher saying, have a great weekend. Sean is saying, great conversation. Christopher's also saying, yes, we can, repetitively. And then finally, Harris says, racism is a social construct. Racism serves white society. Racism is a system. So in order to beat a system, you have to have a system. Yes. Eliminating it is BS. You can legislate it in the public sector, but the private sector moves as they see fit, but they engage real talent. So this is what we're supposed to do on Monday, but it took us another day.
Yeah. Again, we appreciate your time to have this extended conversation.
Yeah, we went to bonus day for you. What? So for anyone who wants to check the article, that is there. Just go to medium.com, put in Perry Douglas, and you will see the article. We'll take a quick look at it on the screen one more time to make sure, because I know most people are visual. So we'll put, that's what the article looks like. I'll just scroll up on it for you so you see the actual title. That's what it looks like, family. So if you see something that looks like that, you're at the right place. All right? Yep. Good stuff. So Perry, again, thanks for your time. Any final words you'd like to share with our family?
I just say, you guys, you know what? You guys, I can't believe I haven't heard about you guys before, man. I'm going to make it a mission now, in my work to do whatever I can to, help with the show. I mean, you guys are just great. This is the type of intellectualism that we need in our community. And I'm just, I'm thankful for you guys. And I think people need to appreciate, with all the nonsense that's going on in the Facebook stuff and the nonsense that's going on, you two brothers have come on and say, hey, we're going to control our own situation. This is what's important. This is the type of show we're going to have. And I congratulate you for the courage and the entrepreneurship for you doing what you do. Keep doing what you're doing, and maybe have me back for my book launch. And that's all.
Please do.
Hey,
yes.
do you know any sponsors, Perry?
You know what? I'm having that conversation behind the scenes.
Let's talk offline.
I'm going to help you with that.
About that.
I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to help you.
Thank you. We appreciate that big time.
You need capital, man. You need capital. And
I know that. Definitely know that. And as I said, all the best to you and your family, what you have done, what you are doing, and what you will be doing. You know, anytime you want to come on here, there's someone here saying you and Farley need to panel up and do another session.
Yeah,
really, I think Justin Senior saying you and Farley need to panel up. Sophia Jacobs would like to see both Wes and Perry in a conversation together. I think a lot of people would like to see that conversation. Yeah. And Naked Product says, thanks, gentlemen. Very informative discussion. So thank you so much. And again, if you want to get in contact with Perry, go to the article. You can contact him through the article. All right, Perry?
Okay, one love, man.
Yes, you want to keep the Friday. And I will say hello to Ray for you.
Yeah, say hello to Ray for me. And tell him he hasn't had me over for a while for some food. So
all right. All right, then. Take care, brother. Be well.
Yes.
All right. So that was the Monday conversation we should have had. We took another day to get it done. All right.
And there's rumors that we might extend how long our show is. So keep tuned. There might be some shifts, but hey, we do what we can with what we got, right?
Well, it's hard work, not hard work. So yeah, thanks, family, everyone who's like incredible stats on people who watch the replay on Monday, like crazy stats.
Right, I love it.
In regards to money. So we appreciate your support, and the best thing you can do is tell other people about us.
Yes.
And also subscribe, whatever platform you're watching this on, subscribe. That's the best thing. So you get notified when we do these epic conversations. Ryan, what's up for the rest of the weekend?
Hey, so not sure if you're going to join us at the Harry Jerome Awards, but is it this Saturday? So
are you
April
sure?
30th. Yes, and I was invited. So typically I can't afford those tickets, but if I get a guest invitation, I'll make my way. But the BBPA, the Black Business and Professional Association, is they're celebrating 40 years.
Wow!
At this next Harry Jerome Awards. So hey, I figured out.
So is being done virtually?
No, in person.
Whoa!
I believe it's hybrid, so in person and streaming online as well.
Okay.
So actually, shout out to Farley that invited me as a guest of Urban Res Solutions. So looking forward to
you're part of that. You're a celebra, man. No one invites me to anything. That's okay. That's okay. No problem.
Because they realize how poor I am. They're like, we you can't afford a ticket.
Look, you have more hair than I do, so you're rich.
And thank you to Caesar's Crown for that. I actually started using it in my hair too because it's so nice.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good stuff. So if you want to catch replays of what we call the Morning Vibe, you can go to a number of different places. It's scrolling along the bottom, but you can go to the Dr. Vibe platform on YouTube and Facebook. You can go to the ACBN Afro-Caribbean Network on Facebook, and also on YouTube, Ryan Knight's Facebook page, and also too, I think we have you on your YouTube, your personal YouTube page. So everything's there. Everything's there. So as always, an epic conversation is coming to an end. And like to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Who do we have up on Monday? We have someone coming up.
We do. Oh my goodness. I forget the name. I have it, but we're booked in. So you'll see the ads for it.
You'll see the post for it. So if you're following us on any platform, especially on the Dr. Vibe platform, I'll be doing the post by Sunday at the latest. And also next Friday, we're going to be speaking with a true expert in Black mental health, Lesline McEwen, who has been a Black practicing psychotherapist for over 30 years.
Wonderful.
So Black mental health next Friday is huge. It's huge every day, but we have a true expert and a true wonderful lady who'll be coming on and talking about Black mental health. And Monday, just follow me and you'll find out.
It's
Right.
Global Esquire Canada, a nonprofit that we're going to be interviewing.
There you go. I gave you time to fill that in. Wonderful. So, and last two things, remember to give yourself grace and always don't just manage your time, manage your energy. See you on Monday. Be well and keep the faith. Bye.